We actually did this as a little bit of a test to see whether Councillor Cassidy would join us at 10 in the morning. Sorry, it's an inside joke. We trust everyone has taken a moment to read our land acknowledgement, and we'd also like to welcome Councillor Gambioli, who is kindly joining us from some gorgeous place in the world. Wow, where exactly are you, Councillor? Oh, where are you?
Hi guys, I'm in the city of Maastricht in the Netherlands. Fantastic. And behind me is the oldest fortified gate in Europe, built in 1226.
Wow, excellent. Well, thank you for joining us. And I'll first just do the formal things. We've called the meeting to order. I'd ask for a motion to approve the agenda. Moved by Councillor Snyder, seconded by Councillor Lambert. Question, all in favor? Contrary, carried. So, as members of the public may note, this council, we're doing things a little bit differently than have been done in the past. And we have encouraged members of council when they feel an idea or the urge to bring forward their own notices of motion. And that has led to, I think, some really productive changes and much more engagement than perhaps has taken place in the past. And what we're considering this morning was first brought forward by Councillor Lambert and Thompson as a notice of motion. And so I think we all owe great gratitude to them for thinking this up and bringing it forward. And this morning what is proposed is a dedication of some 1,937 acres of land above the Upper Levels Highway as a park. And I can tell you, having sat here in version 1, when we did a dedication of the old growth forest, that was clearly the right decision. And this step today expands on that. And for those of you who wish to join us at 11 o'clock this morning, there will be an announcement up at the pop-up on the Cypress Bowl Road, beside the McGavin Field. And BC Parks Foundation will be making a significant announcement this morning at 11 a.m. and we would encourage you all to participate. So with that introduction, I think it appropriate if I could call on Councillor Lambert or Thompson to make a motion and introduce what we're considering.
Excuse me. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is indeed a historic occasion today. I don't believe that in the history of West Van we have made a park dedication that's anywhere near this size. It's an interesting journey here. I think we'll have a short presentation from our staff in a moment, but the idea of preserving and protecting our natural forests has been a long-standing item in our official community plan, our Parks Master Plan, and supported by the Upper Lands Working Group as well. So it's not a new idea. Why we're doing it now, it came about out of a discussion that we had at the Howe Sound Community Forum. I think it was in October when our former director of parks approached me and suggested the idea that, well, we've got all of this district-owned land, why not consider dedicating it as parkland? So from that point, myself and Councillor Thompson got together, crafted the initial notice of motion that was presented in February. Subsequently, staff did the hard work necessary to identify all of the land parcels and put together the legal documents, and here we are today. So, Councillor Thompson, you have any points you'd like to add?
Sure, I can add a few words to that. I'm really excited and really proud to be supporting Councillor Lambert and all of Council on this. And, I find myself seeing the timeliness in this. There's so much discussion around building and density, and I really feel compelled to show our community and actually the region that we're very serious about protecting our natural assets and quite frankly, our quality of life. Rarely a day goes by when I'm not in the mountains, and know many friends and family that spend time there too. And I just want to make sure that we have this for our children and grandchildren going forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of council? Councillor Gambioli, we did want to make sure that you were able to join us today, so I'll turn it over if you want to make any comments.
Thank you. Well, I think that councillors Lambert and Thompson have said, more or less what I was going to say, other than, I really agree that it's important that we're signaling our intent to protect a significant portion of the district's natural assets. For me, I think that's really important, including old growth trees and wildlife habitat from development. So agreed that this is a great step up, and hopefully we can do more of the objectives from the Parks Master Plan from 2012 that I see are still remain undone. So we've got the time to add to this as well.
Thanks, Councillor Gambioli. And perhaps now I'd ask Ms. Kettler if you'd like to make a little presentation.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm going to turn it over to Jill Lawler and Corinne Amber, who have a short PowerPoint presentation.
Right. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor Sager and Council. Thank you for having us here. We're just going to set up the PowerPoint. Yeah. Perfect. We are here today to dedicate the district-owned lands in the Upper Lands as parkland, as requested in the notice of motion by Councillors Lambert and Thompson at the February 12th regular council meeting. The Upper Lands have long been enjoyed by the community for their natural splendor and recreational opportunities. Residents place high value on the natural environment. These lands, maintained and cared for by the district, include trails, bridges, stairs, and have been cherished by residents for many years. Formalizing these lands into park protects the natural and recreational assets that are valued by our hikers, trail runners, dog walkers, birders, natural enthusiasts, mountain bikers, and Hollyburn cabin users, and many others. The long-term protection of parks and the natural areas is a key objective of the 2012 Parks Master Plan. In addition, an Upper Lands Study Review Working Group was formed in 2012 and spent 3 years completing a study of the Upper Lands, bringing forward recommendations in 2015 to maximize the environmental protection. The group identified a community priority and recommended that the district-owned lands be permanently protected as dedicated parkland. Municipalities can dedicate parkland via Section 30 of the BC Community Charter. Once dedicated, the land is subject to specific protections, and the dedication can only be removed through a formal process. The initial Upper Lands dedication was originally expected to be around 2,500 acres, but after a detailed review, the newly dedicated lands are shown in bright green here for a total of 781 hectares, or 1,932 acres. This more than doubles the current amount of parkland in the district, moving from 595 hectares to 1,378 hectares. Put another way, the percentage of the parkland is now at 11% of all the lands controlled by the district. There are no known financial costs or revenues directly associated with designating the land as parkland. However, the new park status may lead to increased expectation for trails, support, infrastructure, and maintenance. To determine what the community would like to see, there will be a process created to explore this. Staff will also look into the carbon offsets once the land has been dedicated. Park dedication bylaws provide long-term protection to parklands and is the approach by which the district legally protects parkland. A park dedication bylaw is considered to confer a high level of protection for the parkland because of the relative difficulty to remove a formal park dedication. The Upper Lands are a regionally significant repository of environmental features and systems, including hundreds of old-growth trees, steep terrains, creek, wetlands, and a range of habitat types. The special characteristics of these lands are highly valued by the community and will contribute to the natural capital asset inventory. We would like to recommend that the proposed park dedication bylaw number 5337, 2024, Upper Lands be read at first, second, and third time.
Thank you very much. And with this simple act, we send a very strong message to everyone in our metropolitan region that the backdrop of the entire region is preserved and an asset for all to enjoy. Councillor Lambert, would you be kind enough to make the motion?
Yes, I'll repeat what Ms. Lawler said. I recommend that the proposed park dedication bylaw number 5337, 2024 be read a first, second, and third time.
Thank you. There's a second.
I will second that.
Thank you. Discussion. Members of council? Anyone else like to add any words of thoughts?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call the question on the vote. And Councillor Gambioli, I'll put your hand up by that beautiful castle. All those in favor? Contrary, the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. I just got tingles throughout my body. Mike, did you want to make a quick comment? We are on a bit of a time frame this morning, but I always like to ensure people have an opportunity to speak.
Mayor and Council, thank you very much for doing this. This is an incredible milestone for the district. But one of the things I'd like to do, besides acknowledging the Upper Lands Working Group, which you did, is for David Cook. David Cook has spent the last 7 years working on the old growth forests in this area. And David, would you stand up and be acknowledged as to the fantastic amount of work you've put into this to make it a success?
I think that's a wonderful suggestion. Mr. Cook, would you stand up and... We are very grateful for all of your effort on behalf of our community. I trust you're going to join us up at the pop-up. As I say, the announcement that will be made very shortly adds to the excitement of today's events. I would like to, we added one additional item, and there was a little bit of confusion circulating around in the community over the weekend about the introduction of the next bylaws. I wanted to ensure that all members of council had an opportunity to participate in this, and with Councillor Gambioli able to join us now, we thought it appropriate to discuss the LAP, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Bailey.
Mr. Mayor, we do have a brief presentation if council would like. We know that you're on a tight timeline, so if council wishes to move directly to moving the motions, essentially so that the public's aware, is what we're doing here is setting a public hearing date in the future so we can hear from the public on these issues. Today is not the public hearing, but we're setting that date. So we'll take direction from council as to whether or not you would like the presentation or whether or not you'd just like to go to the motion so that you can hear from the public at a later date. Presentation? Okay, so I'll turn it over to my colleague, Mr. David Hawkins, have a brief presentation, and then we'll go from there. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
So good evening, members of the public, members of council.
It's actually still the morning.
That's a very good point. I'm programmed. Okay, so it is a short presentation. And there's really three things in front of council tonight. So the first is modifying the OSP bylaw. As Council will recall, there's strong familiarity. Council gave first reading to this bylaw back in January, but directed staff to hold a town hall. So this comes with thanks to the 200 folks that attended that. We are, as directed, coming back with any modifications that seemed appropriate. You can see these numbered on the slide. So the first four, they're really refinements. They do not change any of the proposed densities or FARs or heights, but they do add flexibility. So optional retail is being recommended for the 1800 block of Marine, just at street level. Adding diversity, so policies that recommend a range of bedroom unit sizes and a mix of building forms. So that could be combinations of both townhouses and apartments going forward with these policies that would guide long-term redevelopment. In the third part, responding to input around doing what we can to address affordability. So for policies that did provide an option to combine the value of new strata to achieve below market rental, we've adjusted the ratios of that. And then the fourth one is really just a clarification to communicate to the public that all the things we typically do, these policies would guide rezoning, so all the things that we typically secure through rezoning, so infrastructure upgrades, development contributions would still be in place. The fifth point does recommend a modest increase to density and height, and this is in response to comments from the town hall about making sure these policies actually do enough to incentivize redevelopment, to actually enable those new forms of home ownership in this case. And so they would apply to, we have a handful of low-rise wood frame buildings that are surrounded by existing mid and high-rise concrete. So the recommendation is to modify the bylaw to increase the maximum up to density from 2 to 3 FAR and the maximum height from 6 to 9 to 6 to 14. But I think the main point is that the vast majority of the OSP policies that Council gave first reading to in this bylaw have not changed. You know, there is strong familiarity, so we're not changing anything with respect to guiding new missing middle on the waterfront, expanding seniors housing on site, and the use of West Van public lands. And so that modified bylaw is recommended for second reading prior to public hearing and is attached as Appendix A. A big theme throughout has been understanding how any new housing long-term could fit into our established context, so we've updated the visualization booklet that's been previously provided. So with those modest changes in Appendix E, and you can see all those different colors represent different policies, different forms of housing, different tenures, and how they fit into the context shown in white, where we're not recommending or we're not expecting redevelopment. The second decision in front of Council is to consider a reintroduced bylaw for first reading, and this relates to the predominant zoning. You can see that shaded in brown on the map. These are all those white buildings on the previous slide. So this isn't to encourage or incentivize new development here. It's really an administrative change to allow existing owners to reinvest in their buildings by modestly increasing the density from 1.75 to 2.0 FAR, and that would enable things like balcony enclosures and amenity room conversions. And then the third thing in front of Council tonight is a new Council policy to support the long-term supply of rental in the community and, importantly, provide any assistance for existing tenants should there be rezoning applications on existing purpose-built rental sites. So it would apply to all such purpose-built rental buildings, and it would set an expectation for rental to be replaced, and then a series of tenant supports, so identification of alternative accommodation, financial compensation of at least 4 months' rent, compensation for moving out and moving back with a right of first refusal at market or at the previous rents. As a Council policy, I'd characterize this as an additional tool Council would have to really put you in the box seat. So it would be site by site should rezonings come to you, and that the requirement would be for a tenant support plan to be presented to Council at what we call the the preliminary application stage. So that's very early, and that would allow Council to look at what was being offered to existing tenants alongside very initial development schemes, so the form, the massing, as well as what would be provided to support those existing tenants, so that Council could direct any revisions, review any particular needs of existing tenants, consider the new buildings that were being proposed and the relocation and right of first refusal to those existing tenants prior to receiving a formal application, which is more detailed. Should Council wish to proceed, then a formal application would need to be submitted based on what council directed at the preliminary application stage, and would then still need to go through the standard technical review, council consideration, public hearing, and so on. And that new policy is attached as Appendix D. So in conclusion, as Mr. Bailey said, really the decision tonight is about setting a public hearing date. So the recommendation is for Council to provide second reading to the proposed OCP amendment with the modifications I described, first reading to the zoning amendment I described, and for there to be a public hearing on June 17th, and for Council to also approve the rental replacement and tenant assistance policy. Should Council proceed and should this lead to the conclusion of the apartment area stream, then obviously that would allow staff and the public to begin working together for the commercial areas, the village, this fall. And that concludes the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Members of council, we have 12 minutes, so we can either adjourn the meeting and bring this back up this evening, unless members of council are satisfied and we're able to move these motions forward at this time. Any direction? Councillor Lambert?
Yes, Mayor Sager. I do have one suggestion for the recommendation regarding the rental replacement and tenant assistance policy. The recommendation is that that policy be approved, and I was going to suggest a friendly amendment that it be changed to be accepted for information, and that staff consult with the Ambleside Tenant Association regarding the terms of the policy and report back to council within 30 or 60 days with amendments for council's consideration. And the reason for that is that I think it's important that there is an opportunity to for the stakeholders to weigh in on the policy and have some discussions of that before it's presented to council for final approval. And the way I understand it, and I believe Mr. Hawkins framed it, that this is an additional tool that council has. It does not impact the public hearing as a kind of a standalone piece that can be considered. Am I correct in that, Mr. Hawkins?
Mr. Hawkins?
Thank you, Councillor Lambler. Yes, just to briefly confirm, so this would be a council policy. Council could approve it, council could amend it, council could change it in 5 years. It would simply require a decision in an open meeting. That could be today, that could be in the future.
Okay, thank you. Because Councillor Gambioli won't be able to be with us this evening due to the time difference, perhaps I could just go to you, Councillor Gambioli, if you like to make any comments on this, or if anybody would like to move some motions here.
Well, I'm happy to make the motion if, except that I don't have the text in front of me, and I'm happy to go either way on the policy. I would support it right now, or council wants to wait and have further consultation on the policy. It's
I do agree. I think Councillor Lambert, the consulting with the tenant association is a good idea. I think they're anxious to see something happen, so I can't imagine that it'll take long to consult with them. Members of council? Okay. Councillor Snyder, I think you've got support. I'm sensing Councillor Lambert. Would anyone like to make the motions as written?
I'll make the motions as written.
Okay. Is there a seconder to that?
Someone can read.
I'm happy to read out the motions. Councillor Watt?
Are you just referring to the friendly amendment or the entire package here?
Either way, members of council, this is an opportunity. Well, I think given the amount of time we've got left, Councillor Gambioli, just so that it's, I take it because you're willing to make the motions, you're in support of the recommendations that are before us.
Yes, absolutely.
I think we should thank you, Councillor Gambioli. I think given the time, I'm going to adjourn this meeting to 7 p.m. and we'll bring this up at the beginning of the meeting tonight. So, Councillor Gambioli, go back and have some fun, and thanks for joining us.
Okay.
And if there are any public questions or comments, I would ask everyone to just understand and please come back this evening at 7 o'clock. And with that, I will simply adjourn the meeting to 7 p.m.
Mr. Mayor, just to be clear, and sorry to interrupt, but
Yes.
there are no, it's because it's first reading, there's no opportunity for public comments at this stage.
No, I understand. No, I meant just like general public at the end of meetings. Yes, that's right. Because this is only to set the date for public consideration, there was a little bit of confusion circulating in the community. You never have public input on whether or not we should have public input. That's simply a decision of council. That would effectively set up 2 public hearings, which we don't want to do. So, everyone, we'll adjourn the meeting to 7 p.m. If you have the opportunity, please join us up Cypress Bowl Mountain in the next 30 minutes. Thank you.
Need a vote to close the meeting?
Okay. So,
By vote?
can I not just adjourn it without?
I don't know. Can you?
By unanimous consent.
Okay. By
Okay,
unanimous consent.
unanimous consent. Can I have a motion to adjourn until 7 p.m.? Move, seconded, all in favor. Thank you very much.
But our board meetings are just, the chairs are just.
Yes, I know. Bye.
I was wanting to,
Bye.
we're all just sitting there looking.